Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account from the relationship advice subreddit, and it has some trigger warnings on it of self-harm relapse, drunk driving, manipulation, and emotional abuse as well. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. It's titled, Boyfriend Faked Death and Then Called My Reaction Manipulative. Me and boyfriend, I'm 21 female, he's 24 male, together for 3 years. Live apart, but have and had plans to rent together soon. Everything was perfect before this. Backstory. I have a history of self-harm, have done since I was 11 years old. The last time I did it was 2 years ago. I have some brutal scars, but I'm doing much better and I'm in therapy. It's been a while since I even had the urge. My boyfriend had an ex for me who played mind games a lot. I feel it's relevant as he sometimes thinks I'm playing games when I'm not. For example, he was wary when we started dating that I would self-harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. I don't/haven't ever done this, and despite my struggles, I am pretty good with being patient and communicative. Until this, I considered us to have a really healthy relationship. Main story. Boyfriend went out drinking with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home, 2 a.m.-ish, to let me know he is home and safe, but I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot, no biggie, and I went to bed as normal. I woke up at 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They lived together. I called her back and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kinda worried and told her as much. She said my boyfriend didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. This was super weird to me since I get on well with his mum and would never expect to be told this via text. And after some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend had passed away that morning and I totally shut down. The people I live with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately and had extremely bad relapse on my self-harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was just hurting so much and my usual coping techniques just weren't doing their job. I listened to old voice notes of his and even sent one telling him how much I loved him through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later saying it was a prank since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him drunk driving, as well as about him mushing up his car a little, and him and his friends came up with this plan to just make me happy he was alright. So they took his mum's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful he wasn't dead, but had a million other much stronger emotions. I was so angry he drove drunk. So angry he saw nothing wrong with it. So angry that he would lie about something so serious. And absolutely heartbroken, he let me sit in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad. Plus lots of other things I'm still struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed and flew off the handle. He said I punished him and turned the harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun and now he can't trust I won't do it again. He even suggested I stay in hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now, or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I am beyond hurt. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it, I admit, but this was not an everyday bout of anxiety or even a breakup. I thought he had died. I'm also very aware that his actions were massively shitty and he is being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was dead? I absolutely would not react like this if he just broke up with me, and I have never said or hinted at that. Not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. A commenter says to OP, your boyfriend is a horrible person. What he did shows deep character flaws. The drunk driving is bad enough. The more so because he knew it was wrong and chose to do it anyway. But the harmless prank? That's just mean. So disrespectful and inconsiderate, made all the more so by your personal history. And speaking of the accident, did he leave the scene of an accident while he was driving drunk, or was he late getting home because he got a DUI? Opie says he bumped into a fence post, so luckily nobody was injured, but the potential was there as well as the carelessness. I don't know if he was late or not, honestly. I think he planned this almost immediately and not texting me all night as a part of it. Commenter says he sucks in the situation. And for the whole, he sometimes thinks I'm playing mind games like his ex, tells me this is not an all-around otherwise healthy relationship. I'm sure it has some good, but it's not otherwise completely healthy. It's also very concerning to me that when he saw you self-harmed, his reaction was to get upset with you. He couldn't empathize or sympathize with the self-harm, or the thinking your boyfriend died, or any of it. He can't admit he was wrong for any part of this, and that's enough to break up in my opinion. At least hold off on moving in together. Maybe you should get more therapy just for a bit to talk about the situation. This is beyond traumatic, and you don't deserve that. Opie replies saying sorry. He only felt that way in the beginning of our relationship, as that was his only experience with someone who self-harms, but it hadn't been an issue for years now. I do feel that we worked through it, and he's always been supportive during my urges when I first tried to stop, and even supportive during a relapse. That's kind of why I'm unsure now. All of this behavior is out of the blue. I know people are gonna think I'm mentally weak or some shit, but I can and do recognize manipulative behavior, and I promise this is the first case of it I've seen with him. Definitely continuing therapy. One other commenter says, what a sick joke. You need to break things off ASAP. Faking your own death is just absolutely sick. But what really stood out as well is that he let it continue for like a long time, or she believed the person that she loved had died. So much so that she relapsed back into self-harm because she thought he'd been killed. And his first instinct wasn't guilt or horror or anything like that. It was anger that she had ruined the joke. He made himself the victim in this, accusing her of manipulating him and comparing her to his abusive ex. Absolutely, that relationship is over, and that's without even going into the whole drunk driving thing at the same time. But OP did come in to update the post and says, long story short, I broke up with him for the following reasons. Drunk driving, endangering himself and others. Took his mother's phone and made me think it was her. Deception. Telling me he was dead. Deception/extreme emotional stress. Letting me think for hours. I could list every negative trait for that one. Borderline sociopathic behavior. Not being sorry for any of these things. Twat. Telling me I'm too sensitive. Invalidation, shifting blame. Being mad at me for relapsing. Unsupportive, uncaring, unkind. I still won't blame him for the relapse though, as many people here wanted me to. That is on me, and I'm still going to therapy regularly for that. So, for those interested, I took a few days to myself. I did speak over the phone to his mum, and she was incredibly apologetic on his behalf. I told her how to put a passcode on her phone. After that we met up and I outlined the things I listed above. He seemed apologetic and sincere about all of them and listened to me well. Unfortunately, he didn't quite understand that being apologetic wouldn't get me to change my mind on ending the relationship, so his true colors came out at the end. He got annoyed at me for ending it and again told me I was dramatic and other invalidating arguments. Oh well, I said what I needed to say and that's enough closure for me. And the top commenter on this one says, quoting, told me I was dramatic, and then says, the guy who faked his own death calls you dramatic. You couldn't hold a candle to this guy in the drama stakes. You made the right choice to dump him. It's always interesting how the switch flips for them, how first they're understanding and apologetic, but soon as they're not getting what they want, they switch straight back to calling you dramatic and attacking you in the end. But OP definitely did the right thing in this situation to me. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now this next story, I'm just going to give you a cringe warning on it if you want to skip the story. I can already tell from the title it's going to be one of those in the pillars category kind of thing. This story comes from Baby Talk, who says, boyfriend 20 male of 1 month keeps telling me 20 female he loves me. No. Okay, short and simple, and I will say now that I've told him a few times that I don't like it. He first said it one night, love you, and I immediately asked what that means, in case he's throwing love out 4 goddamn weeks in. He said it means I love you. He's never used baby talk in the 6 months I knew him, and never seemed this silly. I told him baby talk makes me uncomfortable, and the reference to love makes me uncomfortable this early on. He said he understood. He keeps saying it when I go to bed though. He'll text me, love you, with a little heart. And says it when he hugs me when we leave after we've hung out somewhere. Every time I tell him to please stop with the baby talk and love. I've told him probably 6 times now. I've said it makes me uncomfortable. Is there a way to better explain, or is this a lost cause? It's very early on, so I'm aware it's better to break up now than put up with it if he refuses to stop. But I'm wondering from outside perspectives, if I'm telling him I'm uncomfortable with baby talk may not be clear enough / easy to understand. Maybe he doesn't think it's baby talk in this context. I'm mostly just concerned that if I've not actually made it clear to him, someone who considers this talk to be normal, that I haven't actually given him fair warning or chance to change before I dump him. Edit. I forgot to add, it might be important. It isn't always just when we say goodbyes. If we're watching a movie or hanging out, he'll play games a lot and I just sort of chill on his bed. He'd turn around and mumble / cotton mouth a "love you" and maybe cuddle me. It's not just a thing he uses to end conversations, but it primarily happens when we're saying goodbyes. I mean, you said in your post that you've told him 6 times that this is making you uncomfortable. This is a 1-month relationship. I mean, how many times do you have to keep telling him? I guess there's the possibility of having one more sit down, really serious conversation, like if you keep doing this, we're going to be done and that's it kind of thing. But yeah, I wouldn't cope very well. The commenter says, the baby talk annoys the ever living shit out of me as well. If he doesn't listen, then dump him. Opie says, it makes me feel sick and makes my skin crawl. I'm not a baby or a dog. It feels so skeevy and immature, like a 14-year-old in his first relationship. I told him it makes me uncomfortable and I fucking wish he'd listen. C1 says, be crystal clear and direct. Honey, don't use the word "wuv" or any other childish or baby talk. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Sometimes people, guys, need very specific pointers. Now, if you say never use the word "wuv" again and he does it, then it may be more time to reevaluate with a, look, you keep doing something I dislike, why? If you won't stop doing something so simple, I can't trust you with bigger issues. I hate people that won't stop doing things I've specifically asked them not to do. So if you say stop and he keeps doing it, I'll dump him. Opie responds saying, I've literally said that, almost word for word, but with more explanation. My text to him last night was, babe, for like the 100th time, stop saying you "wuv" me. I told you baby talk is uncomfortable to me, especially the word "wuv" since it's baby talk for love and this is too early on. Stop. He then apologized and said goodnight on good terms. I did so too. However, he said "wuv" again today when I said I was going out for a while and wouldn't be able to chat. And because it was by text, I just didn't reply as I was A, busy, and B, getting so sick of it, I decided to come and ask Reddit for help now. But yeah, I need to ask him to explain why he keeps doing something he knows makes me uncomfortable. Beyond the triviality of baby talk, ignoring my request and willingly making me uncomfortable feels like a red flag. I just don't know if he realizes that "wuv" is baby talk, and if he's not going to get me to accept it by repeatedly doing it. So Opie came in the next day with an update and says, I know it's only been 24 hours, but people felt quite strongly about this, so I figured I'd write this out tonight. First, thanks for all the replies. Many helped me feel affirmed in that I was correct to hate the behavior and be upset, but some also helped me work out why he may keep doing it. I will mention my use of making a little heart out of text in stuff like good nights is not exclusive to us. Everyone in our friendship group uses it almost like a smiley emote. We use it with others as well as ourselves. However, he could still be misinterpreting that, so I took it into account that maybe I wasn't totally clear and maybe he was getting mixed signals. I was due to meet him today and did so, intending to ask him to explain why he kept doing it. Not word for word obviously, but his words were pretty shocking and I remember it very well luckily. Part of why I wanted to post it tonight, while it's all still fresh in my noggin. Here's how it went. I said, why'd you keep using the word in the baby talk when I've asked you not to? You know it makes me uncomfortable and you've apologized, so surely you know it's inappropriate and you should stop. Were the apologies fake? He looked very offended at the suggestion. I think I baited him too much. I regret it since he got angry. He said, what the hell? No, I apologize for making you uncomfortable. I said, then why do you keep doing the thing that makes me uncomfortable? He said, maybe I should be more obvious. I'm apologizing for the fact that you interpret my affections that way. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not sorry for the baby talk. You just have to get used to it. I said, so you don't care that it makes me uncomfortable? He said, I do, but you just need to stop being uncomfortable with a normal, cute thing. You're being a bitch about it now, honestly, and it's hurting my feelings. What if I say I'm uncomfortable when you don't use baby talk with me? Would you change? I said, those are two different things. You're deflecting. He said, no, I have every right to talk to you how I want. You're being a hypocrite. I said, I wouldn't want you to suffer with the burden of dating a hypocrite then. Goodbye, don't contact me ever again. Opie then continues, I was actually kind of proud of how quick I was, but I was fuming and shaking after I walked off and got in my car. He texts me a generic, "You're overreacting" stuff, and when I ignored it, he demanded the gifts back that he's given me. Dude spent a lot of money on me, I never asked for it. I told him the gifts are legally mine once given to me and declared as gifts. I told him I never asked for the gifts and it was his choice to buy them. Live with a choice. Finished by saying again, do not contact me. I blocked him on all social media. The gifts were a little too much, something I also mentioned once, but he gifted again after. Since he only did it once after I said not to. I wasn't going to pull him up on it unless he, like in this situation, kept doing it. I did try to refuse the gifts and he got upset until I accepted them. In hindsight, the gifts were starting to go the same direction as the baby talk. I was an idiot for not seeing the red flag sooner. I don't want the gifts as they're somewhat expensive. All still with tags on, except price tags. Teddy bears, clothes, shoes and jewelry, all bought for me in a month. Now going to a charity shop after Christmas to hopefully make a decent bit of money back for a better cause than some dude who loves me so much. He just has to shower me with gifts and ignore my comfort and boundaries. You guys help me open my eyes and make me stop feeling like the bad guy for taking issue with it. I really wanted to understand and explain it to him, but I guess his true colors came out. Surprising how I didn't ever see or hear about this side of him for 6 months when we were friends. Thank you again for all your advice and help in this thread last night, guys. Commenter says it sounds like the guy doesn't really care what other people think and just does his own thing. Not just the WOV stuff, but with the gifts as well, completely disregarding your feelings. Opie says, part of me thinks he lashed out because I confronted him, because he was so insistent on being affectionate with the WOV stuff. It really shocked me to see him suddenly being such an arsehole. Maybe others were right in that he loved me, or well, thought he did. We don't know each other well enough after a month of dating, and was upset that it wasn't reciprocated and lashed out finally. Whatever. Isn't my problem anymore. I don't think there's much to say on the back of that apart from bullet dodged, is there? Bloody hell. The fact that, she's asked you, it's not hard to not say woof you, is it? Oh, bloody hell. But, of course, there was other red flags creeping in there as well as Opie went to explain more. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Scared of Their Love, who says, am I the arsehole for following my 42 male wife, 27 female, around for an evening? Oh dear me. The title sounds extreme, but here are the details. My wife and I have been together for 5 years. I love her so much that it pains me to write this. The thing is, I was the sole earner for a while, and I was happy to provide. I'm a software developer at a local startup that's tripled in employees and gone exponential in revenue. We're not having kids, so my wife got bored of being home and doing nothing, so she got a job at a law firm as a paralegal. Enter this attorney, who I'll call Brandon. My wife started to bring him up quite a bit. You know when your wife starts talking about something, drops it, and then brings it up again a few minutes later or hours later like there was no gap. My wife does that with stories about him. I searched through her Facebook friends list one day for Brandon and saw that they had connected. Okay. Then my wife starts going to work happy hours and I'm seeing pictures of the guy on her timeline. In most of the pictures, she is positioned next to him, holding a drink. Okay. I've gained considerable weight since joining the startup. There is free food provided to us nearly every day. My wife has maintained a really low weight and looks beautiful as she did at 22. Brandon is more like how I used to be weight-wise. However, I believe I make more money than he does. So here it goes. I take off work on Friday, as my team is nearing the end of our project. I wait for my wife to leave the firm and I see her walking out with Brandon. They get in my wife's car, purchased on my dime, and I follow them for a bit. They go to a local dive bar and it turns out all of her co-workers are there. I see them entering. I wait for hours and everyone eventually leaves. My wife leaves last with Brandon and she takes him home. I don't see any physical contact as he exits the vehicle to go inside his apartment building. At this point, I'm sick. I'm gutted. I wait at home for my wife and confront her about Brandon. She went insane basically, threatening to end the marriage because I stalked her. She told me she's always the designated driver for happy hour because she doesn't drink much, which is true, but she didn't address my greater concerns. Am I the arsehole? So Murderous Budgie says you're the arsehole. She's not allowed to hang out with co-workers. You observed nothing but normal friendly stuff and yet you confronted her. This marriage is doomed. Sorry, my dude. Opie says even with him appearing in more and more of her photos, and the majority of her photos from hanging out with co-workers is right there beside her. I'm always hearing about him, about his new pets, about his family. I'm sick of this, genuinely. Wooty replies saying, I would think you'd have more to worry about if she suddenly stopped talking about him. Opie says, good thinking there. Opie replies to a deleted comment and says, yes, I've replayed the night so many times in my mind. Uber exists. The drive from the bar isn't far. I felt nauseous that she drove him. Commodore says, she was the designated driver. That was her job for the night. There's also legit nothing wrong with driving a coworker home. Opie says, she was the designated driver and yet she only took him home. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this. Help me out here. I'm willing to accept my judgment. Commodore says, you're the arsehole. Even before you started following her, you were spying on her via Facebook, so let's not pretend it was just this one evening. Opie says, everyone uses Facebook to keep track of those they love. Hell, even corporations and recruiters check your Facebook out. Are we all stalkers? Commodore says, you're the arsehole. I'm really hoping this is fake. There is no way you're actually 42 years old, mate. People at that age are supposed to be a little more clever in life. If this is real, then yikes. Poor woman. Opie says, you don't understand the feeling. You got to know someone, spent so much time with them, and suddenly feel and see it all coming apart. An interloper. Your wife's face lights up talking about another man. Commenter replied saying, that's called friendship. I also smile and look happy when talking about my friends. Doesn't mean I'm sleeping with them. Opie says, haven't seen her like this in a while. Golden State of Mind says, you're the arsehole. I think I read a book like this once. Next you're going to hit her and she'll make a grand escape and then you'll date someone who's 22 and repeat the cycle as if she was cheating the whole time. Oh my god, OP, you should watch You. OP says, I love my wife. I can't imagine life with another woman. Commoner says, you're the arsehole, but send flowers to her office saying you're sorry. Show up to the office and take her out to lunch. Invest in time with her. Also helps to meet Brandon to get rid of your boogeyman. Fuck the people focusing on your age differences. She's an adult who started dating and married a guy old enough to be a father for her own reasons. Get counseling for yourself for your marriage. Opie says, hey, thank you. I like the flowers idea. Another one says, info. At any point did you try talking to your wife about your insecurities? If you two are in love and it isn't a controlling situation the way Reddit immediately jumps to when there is an age gap, I'd expect that the two of you would talk about it. Did you share your concerns? Did she offer any understanding and support? Opie says, hey, I just got home from work, long day. I did not share my concerns until I confronted her. But Opie did come in to update and says, if you don't want to read it, here's the summary. I believe my wife to be having an affair with a co-worker who had repeatedly appeared in her pictures and conversations, so one happy hour I followed her. Even though it's in nothing definitive, I confronted her about the issue and she threatened to end things with me. Believe it or not, I listened to your advice. I received extensive advice from both sides. Publicly, everyone agreed I was at fault. In my direct messages, many fervently believed me to be in the right. Regardless, I sat down and talked to my wife about my insecurities concerning a co-worker, Brandon. I told her I did not feel as attractive as Brandon and worried that as I was getting older, her interest in me was waning. I also asked her if she felt financially stable in the relationship. I apologized for following her and told her I would never do it again. She told me several things. First, that she was offended I did not trust her. Second, that she did suspect Brandon had feelings for her based on some of his interactions and comments. Third, that she sometimes felt isolated by my work and never felt motivated one way or the other by my income. The thing about programming is it is hard to explain my work to someone who does not program. She also told me my physical appearance and aging had no impact on her feelings towards me. She reaffirmed that she loved me and would never throw away our marriage for a divorced co-worker. So what for our future? I asked her if she still wanted to be with me or if she could not see a future with me after I'd followed her. She joked that she would forgive me after drinking a few cocktails at a tropical resort. She told me that, in addition to the stalking, the cocktails would also help her forget about all my past rants about various programming languages, Java specifically. I haven't told her yet, but I plan to surprise her with an all-inclusive package to the Maldives, or some other island young women enjoy that I've never heard of until researching. TLDR, my wife and I are back on track. Thank you genuinely. Thank you to the kind user who helped me figure out how to create this update post. But now, I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.